to listen to the Lapped Traffic Podcast.
What is up, Lap Traffic Nation? Welcome to episode 236 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. I am your host, the Professor Brandon Crowd, and this week's show is brought to you by Manscaped. Yes, very excited to have the Manscaped guys back, and I will get to their read here in just a couple minutes. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Added a new winner to the win list. Can't wait to talk about that in a little bit. Guys, I got to tell you, Lap Traffic Nation, this weekend was so chill. Didn't do a damn thing. Lindsay was out of town. I ordered some carryout. I couldn't smoke any meat as we're getting our deck redone, so everything had to get pulled off that this weekend. I have absolutely zero stories for you guys. Like lame ass was me this whole weekend. I was going to try to go golfing this weekend after last weekend's crazy round, but the weather is back to teasing us like it was snowing today. Yeah. Which Neudorff, I'm sure, is going to love and, you know, poke fun at me appropriately, I'm sure, when he's on a little bit. So hopefully I'll have a little bit more entertaining weekend for you guys next week. So no long drawn out stories there. Hope you guys enjoyed last week's two shows, Tuesday show with Brett Moffitt, and then Thursday, the bonus show with Dustin Albino. I had a great time talking some NASCAR. We talked Martinsville, and of course, we talked some WrestleMania. So if you're itching for some NASCAR guys to talk wrestling, go check out Thursday's bonus show. Lap Traffic Nation, coming up tonight, I am so excited because I am adding to the list of MRN alums that are on the show. So excited. Going to have Mike Bagley on here in just a minute. We'll recap Richmond and got some social media shout outs. Neudorff will have the weather, Lucky Dog lap down. And where is the professor in the lap traffic standings? The answer may surprise you. So you'll just have to stick around to the end as well. But before we get the bagman on, Lap Traffic Nation, flowers are blooming, the grass is growing, and if you're in Michigan, the snow is falling. And thanks to our sponsors at Manscaped, you can trim your hole safely and efficiently this summer. Yes, I'm talking about ball trimmers. The global leader in men's below-the-waist grooming have an exclusive offer for Lapped Traffic Nation. Use code LAPPED, L-A-P-P-E-D, get 20% off, plus free shipping at manscaped.com. Join the other 2 million men who trust Manscaped. They're here to make sure you are trimmed and smelling nice. After all, it's time for some spring cleaning. I got to tell you guys, they sent some new products over. They sent the nose trimmer. They sent the cologne. The products are just top notch. I'm telling you guys, go check it out. There are so many awesome products. They've got the weed whacker. They've got the, like I said, the nose trimmer. They've got the ball toner. It is great quality products. Go to manscaped.com and use code LAPPED, L-A-P-P-E-D, at checkout. Get 20% off and free shipping. Do yourself a little favor. The significant other in your life will thank you. Or if you don't have the significant other, this may help you get one. So there's that. Okay. Thanks to Manscaped for coming back. That's for sure. All right. Let's kick things off. Let's get Mike Bagley on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, making his Lap Traffic debut, joining a long list of guys from MRN to be on the show. He's got one of the most iconic voices, gives me goosebumps when I hear it. You know him when he drops the call, or when he gets the call from Jeff Striegel. You can hear him on Sirius on NASCAR. It's the legendary Mike Bagley. Mike, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man, what's going on? Glad to be a part of the show. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking to you. Huge shout out to Jeff Striegel. And I feel bad for Jeff sometimes, Mike, because I reached out to him one day and I was like, hey, man, we're both from Michigan. I got this podcast thing going on. I'd love to have you on. And that's turned into 20 appearances from him. And he's gotten Woody Kane, Alex Hayden, and now you on the show, which is awesome, man. So I'm really looking forward to this.
Striggy's an awesome guy, and he's a great friend, talented broadcaster. He speaks highly of you and your podcast, so I'm a I'm happy to be a part of the fun here.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Listen, since it is your first time on the show, give everyone and the listeners the 411 on your background a little bit, getting into racing and finding your way over to MRN.
Well, I started broadcasting back when I was in high school. I used to be the 7 to midnight DJ when I was a senior in high school in Milford, Delaware. We used to be an MRN affiliate way back in the day. That's how I got turned on to MRN. I just wrote a letter saying, "Hey, is there anything I can do to help you guys out when you come to the racetrack?" And they're like, "Actually, yeah, let us know." And I started as a gopher and as a runner, and eventually worked my way into PA announcing. And one day they asked me to be a part of the broadcast. That was the 1992 Phase 150 at Watkins Glen for what was then the NASCAR Busch Series. And I guess I did something right because they've been having me back ever since. It's been, almost 30 years. So
you still remember the sponsor of that race, man.
I do.
Cool.
I do. I remember that race. I was scared to death that day because, you hear MRN and, you got all these legendary voices. And I grew up listening to MRN. And then now I'm sharing the microphone with some of these guys. It was very intimidating, very fun, and also very rewarding all at the same time.
That's so cool. That's awesome. All right, Mike. So the 2021 NASCAR season, it's had some shock and awe moments. We're just into April. In the Truck Series, we've seen John Hunter Nemechek dominate. We may be expected to see some more wins from Austin Cindric. In the Xfinity Series, we've had some surprises there. And, of course, in the Cup Series, we've had 8 different winners through 9 races with big names out there like Chase, Kyle, Kevin, and Brad all still searching for a win. What's your general thoughts on what we've had so far in the 2021 season?
Well, I think that we're getting what we're not expecting. Remember, 10 races in this time last year, it was the Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin show.
Yeah.
Now, granted, we were in the COVID shutdown last year, so we never got back to racing until mid-May. But as far as number of races in, we were already starting to see that Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin with an inner sprinkling of like a William Byron or a Chase Elliott or a Joey Logano or a Brad Keselowski. Well, 8 of those drivers that scored wins last year haven't won so far this year. And I don't think that a lot of folks had us down for as many first-time winners of the season as we've had. And we've had 3 first-time Cup winners. So I think that when you look at what we're getting, it's unexpected, refreshing, but also very aggravating because race fans are like, hey, when I do my fantasy team, I can count on this one to perform. Or, hey, if I'm going to do a pick for this weekend, I can count on that one. We're getting a little bit of everything, and we're getting other drivers that are factoring in to the storylines, like your Kyle Larsons, your Christopher Bells, your William Byrons. You're getting a little bit of everything. And I think it's taken a lot of people by surprise and maybe put them out of their comfort zone just a tad. I know it's done me. I don't know which way to go in my fantasy teams every Friday when I do them. But it's refreshing. It's fun because you just don't know what you're going to get each and every week.
Oh, I'm with you there. You mentioned a couple names there, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell. You personally, Mike, are you surprised in terms of what Kyle Larson was able to do? We all know he could run a race. He didn't forget over the summer when he was running everything under the sun and winning in everything under the sun. Did you think there might have been at least a little bit of a lag? We're not seeing that out of him.
I did not expect for him to be as competitive as he has been so far in the season. And he handled it perfectly because he came into the season soft pedaling it. Well, I've got to get reacclimated to a stock car. Well, I'm not going on these 1.5 miles in a while. And he kind of downplayed it going in and let the performance speak for itself, because I was one of those people that I always wondered when he was at Ganassi before he had his problems last year. I was one of those that I always asked the question, is it the Ganassi equipment or is it Kyle? Could he be winning more? Could he be having more success? Is it the equipment that's holding him back? Is he having a hard time fitting in? Are there chemistry issues? I had more questions than what I had answers for because, quite frankly, I thought Kyle Larson with his talents should have done a whole lot more winning. So he comes into 2021, and it doesn't take him long before he's winning. He's running up front, and he's that consistent presence. Obviously, this past weekend's race at Richmond notwithstanding, he has been a force to be reckoned with, and I think it's great for him. I think he gives us great play outside of NASCAR. He'll be running the World of Outlaws this weekend at Talladega. He ran the All-Star Circuit of Champions this past week. He won there at Williams Grove. So he's going to these these homegrown racetracks, doing different forms of racing, carrying NASCAR with him there. But I think when he comes back to NASCAR, he also brings some recognition to those grassroots efforts that he's involved in. I think that's a win-win. But I like seeing Kyle Larson run well. I've always thought he was a tremendously talented race car driver, and now it's starting to come to the surface and starting to be evident at the top level of NASCAR here in the Cup Series with Hendrick Motorsports.
I am with you 100% there for sure. You mentioned Richmond this weekend. Cup race, maybe not the biggest barn burner of excitement, but, it definitely provided that old school style race. Only a handful of guys on the lead lap. Was it going to be Denny? Was it going to be Martin Truex? Nope. It's a late race caution that racked him up again and let some new rubber and Alex Bowman get the job done. What did you think when you saw Bowman slowly starting to charge through late in that third stage?
I wasn't expecting it. I'll tell you that. I saw him kind of hovering there. And then as we went on, it's like, he's in the top 10. He's hanging around there. And then did that late race surge. And then I don't know what Greg Ives did to that car, because when he launched on the final restart, it's like, okay, he's hanging there. Wait a minute. He's getting up alongside Logano. Wait a minute. He's going after the lead. Wait, they're side by side for the lead. And then he took the lead and then started pulling away. And I remember listening and watching, asking myself, where did that come from? Because I hadn't saw a lot of that during the race. And then at the end, I thought that was Denny Hamlin's race.
Sure.
I thought it was also Truex's race until he had the late race penalty. But then all of a sudden, Alex Bowman comes from out of nowhere. And that goes to what we said a moment ago about getting the unexpected. I didn't expect Alex Bowman to win that race. Not going to turn it down. I think that's great for the 48 to get that back in victory lane. It's been almost 4 years. And it's ironic that he scores the win in the 48, takes the 48 back to victory lane, while the 48 for Jimmy Johnson made its inaugural run in the IndyCar Series at Barber in Alabama over the weekend. I thought it was a cool weekend, but it's something I definitely did not have on my radar going into that race.
Oh, I'm with you there for sure. Let's switch back over to the MRN, the broadcast side here for a minute. Talk a little bit about the, what race weekends like for you? Maybe pre-COVID and now during COVID, the pandemic and all that kind of stuff. What's it like getting to the track, getting warmed up, getting ready, and all that good stuff?
Well, pre-COVID, I live here in South Florida. So, it's, get on the plane and, you do your connections, you get on the ground, you meet up with the guys, you go play a little Golden Tee golf, you have a little dinner off to the racetrack and, practice, qualifying. We'd have practice shows and qualifying shows. And it was a full slate of racing weekend. You do your races, hop on the plane, come back home. But when COVID hit, of course, we're in the bubble now and we're not practicing. We're not qualifying. We are obviously at 8 race weekends this year, but it's totally different. We're not going into the garage, where the garage is off limits for us. You have to be removed from people. Yep. At racetracks before COVID. We would go out and visit with race fans, do hospitality appearances with drivers and do Q&As and all that stuff. And there's been none of that because obviously we've gone from having no fans to now slowly starting to come back with fans at virtually everywhere we're going. So there still is that barrier of being in contact with the race fans. I love sitting down with race fans and doing Q&As and having fan participation and just do a little bench racing with race fans before we go in the air. And I've missed that. I hope we can get back to that.
Sure.
But now it's basically, you fly out, you go in, you do the race. We arrive at not the last minute. We're there a couple of hours out, but normally we'd be there 4 or 5 hours on a race day before. But we go and we are fairly quarantined. We go out to our positions, we do the race, and we come back and hop in the car and either go back to the hotel or go back to the airport. It's the human contact and the schedule change with not being as active. That's the big difference now post-COVID, or I guess, in the middle of COVID than it was before this COVID situation broke loose after the 4th race last year.
Sure, man. Yeah, it's rough. I I only got to the one race last year, MIS, and it was like, I mean, I've never had such close parking. I parked literally right next to the elevator. Well, got up, but it was, sit in the press box, and that's it, which is cool because that's still a new thing for me, and with all that with the show, but not being able to walk around the garage and see people and interact with people and the tweet ups and all that kind of stuff. I was talking with the Orange Cone a couple weeks ago. It's definitely something that the sport can't wait to get back. That's for sure.
Well, and I also feel for the racetracks too, because obviously TV plays an important part of what we do. And TV obviously has a lot of money that they put into the sport, which is helping the tracks. But there also is that important contingent of getting fans to the tracks and obviously getting them back in the grandstands. They've been suffering on the upper levels. And even on the ground level of the sport, the grassroots tracks, they're having a hard time. Some are just fighting to hang on. And I'm hoping that once we get past this, we can get more fans back. I don't know what normalcy is. I don't know if we'll be back to being elbow to elbow with fans in the stands. I'm hoping at some point we can get back to that, but get as many back as we possibly can, get shots in arms, do whatever we need to do to get back to what we love, and that's watching NASCAR racing with our friends and our families.
Absolutely. All right, let's hop back over to the racing side here. Let's talk about SHR for a minute here. It may not be reflecting on the finishing results this week, but the 4 was having one of his most solid runs since the very start of the season. The 10 was having a decent run going. Was this just a fluke weekend for them, or do you think they're starting to actually dial some things in here?
That's hard to tell. I'm going to need to see more of their body of work. Normally it's Kevin Harvick that's having the most success. All of them are struggling at SHR, and that goes back to what Rodney Childers told us about, the new inspection process with the wheel well. Rodney said 70 counts of downforce were taken away with this new inspection process. They had to redo some things, and they said the aero balance was thrown off on the car, and that's what they're struggling to get back. If you give Kevin Harvick a good car, you get it dialed in, he can do damage. Still, at the age of 45, he's still the man. I'll take Kevin Harvick at 45 over some of these youngins at 20 any day. Sure. He's got that experience. He's got that wealth of knowledge. But this past weekend, he cuts a right rear tire, backs it in the fence, and then it was Eric Almirola who cracked the top 10 for the first time this year. Not saying that it was his turn, but I do think that they did something right with those unique conditions that we had. A day race, tires that were giving up, not necessarily putting the rubber in the track, but fading pretty quickly, pit strategy and the like. I thought they had a great day. I think that was their best day of the year. Now take that and build forward. Now this weekend at Talladega, if you can come out of there with a top 10 finish and a race car in one piece, that's going to be a miracle for a lot of folks, and that's going to be a surprise for a lot of folks. But what about the following weekend at Kansas? What about at Darlington? What about at Dover before you get to Coda on the road course? String together, 2 or 3 weekends of good racing and good finishing positions and just all of a sudden put together a complete race. Then we got something to talk about. I will err on the side of optimism and say perhaps maybe that's a step in that direction. But I think that they need to put together maybe 2, 3, 4 more good weekends before we can say, hey, SHR's got their arms around this thing. Is it as bad as it looks? I think it is because of all the winning that Kevin did last year and obviously Cole Custer going to victory lane. But it just seems like, everybody's gotten better and SHR is having challenges, which I think makes it look worse than what it actually is. But let's get some consistency. Let's get some more good runs going in the SHR camp because you got their Ford counterparts in Team Penske that's getting the job done. But then again, you've also got Roush Fenway that's been struggling with that, but they've been struggling for years. So they've got work to do. I think they can get it done. I think they will win races, but it may take them a little bit of time to get there.
Sure. No, I hear you there 100%. For me, the big one that I've got circled is Kansas, right? Because, we saw what happened last fall, the last 50, 60 laps at Kansas, Kevin Harvick followed Joey Logano around a half second, 3 car lengths back, just could never get it done. And that ended up being the factor that, prevented Kevin Harvick from getting to the Final Four there. So I'm sure Kevin Harvick's got Kansas circled, at least I do, as a track to see what what happens after Talladega for sure. We are headed to Talladega this weekend. You know, we saw what Michael McDowell was able to do at Daytona. Talladega has been the Penske show the last 5-6 years. Do we get more Team Penske, or do we continue with the surprises this year?
Well, that is if you can survive the thing.
Yeah.
First of all, you've got to survive. Going to Talladega, that's like, to me, throwing a dart against a dartboard. It's like you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to have the same cast of characters up front. So you're going to have Logano, you're going to have Keselowski, you're going to have Hamlin. You're probably going to have Truex. You're going to have Kyle Busch. You're going to have William Byron. You're going to have Chase Elliott. I mean, you're going to have about a dozen guys up there. Question is, can you survive? That's going to be the big thing. If you can survive all that, my money's on Denny Hamlin. He is the Pied Piper of super speedway races. If you look, this goes back, maybe about, 10 years. I'll tell you, it goes back to the whole love bug racing or the tandem racing that we were doing.
Yeah.
He could push guys and he could get guys going, and he'd get behind somebody, shove them out to the lead. Even after we got away from that, Denny has this way of sniffing out the draft and putting his car in a position to where he can capitalize. But I think lately a lot of drivers are onto that and are not willing to go with him. We saw that in the 500 there for a while, where he would go and step out and try to go, and nobody would go with him. And they're like, okay, you know what? If we get him in the back, that gives us a better shot.
Sure. So
it's all about, do I want to go with him and get myself to the front and maybe ride that train for a little bit, but then when I get him there, box him out, block him out, and drop him back so I can take advantage of what he's just done for me. We see a lot of that at Talladega. You're going to see a lot of manufacturer racing. Chevys are going to be lined up. Fords are going to be lined up. Toyota's going to need all the help they can get. But with what they have on the track as far as Toyota, they got some pretty potent hitters there as well. I think it's a free-for-all. I'm not saying we're going to have a Michael McDowell-type victory where somebody from out of the blue is going to win the race. But depending on how it plays out, you're either going to have a non-surprise in like a Hamlin or a Logano, or you're going to have somebody that you weren't even expecting, like a Matt DiBenedetto maybe could go up in there, or someone else like that and give us another first-time winner. I think we're across the board. I'm looking forward to it. I love racing at Talladega. Love it. And I can't wait to get there this weekend.
Oh, I love it, man. I think that's a great way to wrap this thing out. Mike, tell everybody where they can follow you on social media.
I am on Twitter at the Mike Bagley. I'm heavy there. I need to do a better job getting on Instagram. Problem is, it's easier to type. I'm not a good picture taker, so I know that you have a lot of these Instagram people that take these pictures, get those nice fancy filters on there. I don't have the patience or the time for that, so I'll just take a quick snapshot, throw it up on Twitter at the Mike Bagley, Bagley. I'm with you. That is like, I'll make one post a week about the show on Instagram, and then I'm right back over to Twitter. So I feel you there 100%. Lap Traffic Nation, huge thanks to Mike Bagley from MRN for calling in. Mike, this was so much fun. I look forward to getting you back on the show some point down the road, man. Thank you so much for the time. It's great to spend some time with you. Can't wait for the next time. All right, brother. We'll talk to you later. Take care, bud. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, how cool is the Bagman? Yes, absolutely enjoyed talking to him. Cannot wait to get him back on. Let's press on. Let's talk about some racing this past weekend at Richmond. I mean, overall, right, like I kind of alluded to it with Bagley, wasn't a barn burner. Nothing, too crazy. In fact, if it wasn't for that late caution that allowed Bowman to get up there and reset the clock, if you will, in terms of how far back he was to go have a shot at this, I mean, it probably gets a lot even worse reception, right? But anyways, let's talk a little trucks here. John Hunter Nemechek, man, telling you, he had a bad outing at Bristol there, has a baby, and then boom, goes back to victory lane. You go back to CJ Wolliver and my truck show we did back in February. We were talking about John Hunter Nemechek, and it's not to say like, we were, talking about stuff that wasn't out there on a radar perspective. But, this is somebody that a lot of people were talking about in terms of, he's taking a demotion. Putting trophies in the trophy room isn't
a demotion as far as I'm concerned when it's talking about going out there and going to probably be competing for a championship. This is twice now in the same season that he's held off the boss man, Kyle Busch, behind him in a truck. And that's something that just really doesn't happen too often, right? And that's what did happen. You got to give some props to Tyler Ankrum. You know, Tyler Ankrum a couple years ago, you know, had that win, got into the playoffs, made the move over to GMS, you know, thought we'd get a little bit of an uptick in terms of production. Really wasn't there last year. But, hey, you know, if memory serves correctly, he used some pit strategy to get up there at the end of this thing and picked up a third place finish, which is, I mean, hey, you finished right behind Kyle Busch and ahead of another KBM guy in Chandler Smith. So that ain't a bad day when the lone Chevy in the top 5 is Tyler Ankrum, right? Because I sure wouldn't have picked, if you would have told me going in the race, hey, there's only going to be one Chevy that finishes in the top 5, who's it going to be? Tyler Ankrum wasn't going to be on my list. I love Tyler Ankrum. Great guy, cool kid. Been on the show a couple times, but that's not who I would have had for my top 5 Chevy truck finishers up there. So, you know, Sauter, hey, finally starting to maybe turn some things around here a little bit. We had Grant Enfinger out there who led most of this thing. Well, second, right? I mean, John Hunter did lead the most laps, but, you know, Grant having a great showing, top 10 finish, still bitter over the fact that he's not competing full time and going out there to try to get back to the Final Four and close out what he started last year. That's okay. I'm sure things will come around. But what I want to do is I want to talk about the standings for the Truck Series, and I feel it's necessary because in the grand scheme of things, there are only 9 truck races to go before the playoffs are set in the Truck Series, and that's not a lot. We're into the single digits already, and it's only April. Obviously, a shorter season compared to the Xfinity and Cup out there, but like I said, I want to take a look at things real quick because what we have going on here is something like what we've had in the Xfinity Series and Cup Series over the last couple years. I mean, we've got 2 guys with the bulk of the playoff points, and then it's a pretty even playing field. And if things stay like this for the next 9 races, it really will be anybody's game because you're not going to have that playoff point differential. I mean, you'll get your playoff points awarded based on your final seedings after the 9th race, but that still will keep things pretty equal. You know, all things considering, you know, like I said, we got John Hunter with 16, Ben Rhodes with 10. You got Grant Enfinger, he's in 7th, but he's not even going to be really competing from the playoff perspective. And you got Rafael Lasser down in 14th with 2 playoff points, who's not even going to, he's outside of it at the moment. And you've got some pretty close standings. You got Johnny Sauter in 10th with 141. You got Carson right below him, 139. That's only 2 points. Chandler Smith in 12th. You've got to expect to think he's going to try to make up 12, 13 points to get up there. So playoff picture is a little shaky at the moment just because of the fact that we don't have a whole lot of playoff points out there. So if you can make up a couple points in the standings, it's not like we're having a cutoff battle here with 10 truck drivers getting the win at the moment. So I say all that to say there's only 9 races. That's not a lot. And if John Hunter continues to go out and do John Hunter things and Ben Rhodes does Ben Rhodes things, and we got to expect Sheldon Creed to do some things, you know, so all right, maybe 3, 4, or 5 winners, you know, Matt Crafton's still without a win. Friesen's without a win. Sauter without a win. I'm excited about what's going to happen in the Truck Series over the next couple weeks. All right. Well, the Truck Series has a little bit of a break. They won't be back until May 1st at Kansas. Xfinity was off this past weekend. They will be back at it this weekend at Talladega along with the Cup Series. And let's talk about the Cup Series a little bit. You heard the Bagman and I talk a little bit about it at the start of the show here. You know, Alex Bowman picking up the win. You know, who would have thought our defending champ, who was on a roll, Chase Elliott, be the guy from HMS still without a win? And all three other HMS guys have picked up the victory. I would say that that's encouraging, right? Because Chase is going to get one. And, you know, I've been saying it for a couple weeks now. Like, I would have been so wrong if I had to guess the order of each team's, you know, winner this year, you know, like Penske. I would have gone Brad, Joey, Blaney. It's the exact opposite. We're still waiting on Brad to get the win. If I had to go for HMS, it probably would have been Chase, Bowman, Larson, Byron, tied, depending on how that was going to all work out. Exact opposite there. And who would have thought we'd still be waiting for Kevin Harvick to get a victory here? So crazy things. You know, we talked about Kevin Harvick a little bit ago in terms of how he was showing some signs of brilliance, not up there competing for the lead or anything like that. But, you know, expectations got to get dialed in a little bit more of a reality perspective here. All right, not going to be up there competing for wins. He's struggling for top 10s, top 15s. So when that top 5 day's out there, okay, recognize that as being, you know, a decent day for the guy. And, you know, that blown tire, you know, set them back a little bit. Nonetheless, had a good day. If they wreck out at Talladega, you know, you got to put the asterisks there and just go, hey, anomaly, it's Talladega. Let's see what happens at Kansas. You know, Matt Benedetto had a really good showing. Top 10 was up there, top 5 or 6 towards the end as well. Austin Dillon, top 10. Little unexpected, you know. We had a couple guys out there that I really wasn't expecting to see out there competing for a win or even a top 5, top 10. You know, this thing stays green. Is it going to be Denny Hamlin? Is it going to be Martin Truex Jr.? I expected to see Chase Elliott in the mix a little stronger than what I did. He really wasn't even in the top 10 at all. You know, Keselowski, he had to come back, I believe, from a penalty there at the start. You know, so a couple guys that I expected to be up there weren't, and you had some guys take advantage of that. Christopher Bell, you know, kind of shocked us all when he picked up the win at the road course, and then just kind of has drifted off a little bit. Starting to hear his name a little bit more. You know, I think it was just a matter of time before Christopher Bell started racking off some top 10s there. You know, all in all, you know, it was an old school style race, which is what everybody claims they want, right? You know, we only want 5 guys finishing on the lead lap. Well, you know, we didn't get that. We would have gotten that. What did we have? 20-some plus guys take the wave around there on that last caution. You know, if that wasn't the case, we're only talking about 8-9 guys finishing on the lead lap, you know. So it was definitely that old school style race. You know, hey, I can get behind those every once in a while. I can get behind a fuel mileage race, you know, like pins and needles. You know, who's got that last drop of fuel that's going to carry them back around through the victory lap? You know, so many different styles of racing that we can get at any track, whether it be Michigan, whether it be Richmond, whether it be Martinsville. You know, so, you know, was it, like I said, was it the best race in the world? No. Was it tolerable? Yeah. Was it fun to watch cars on a track? Yeah. So I digress with all that. You know, since I talked about the standings a little bit with the trucks, why not with Cup? You know, obviously Denny Hamlin up there, Truex up there, Logano up there. Playoff points are a little bit more evenly dispersed, which is kind of nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 teams with playoff points, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that are within 5 and 6 playoff points of each other. You know, you got Michael McDowell, 17th, finally fell out of that top 16. You know, we got Chris Buescher in 16th. Right now, we reset. Buescher's out, McDowell's in, you know, so can McDowell maybe go out there this weekend and pick up some extra points? You know, I have got to think with that win at Daytona that the 34 car and that team is going to be so focused on going out there and trying to repeat. You know, Ford put some money behind those guys. You know, they were up there pretty strong. You know, we knew that once we started filtering through some of these tracks that those guys were just going to slowly start to slip a little bit. They're not Penske, you know, and that's fine. We know that, right? So there is some reality, but it's also a matter of knowing that these guys more than likely are going to hit that playoff spot unless we get 17 different winners, which unbelievable, right? Come on. Stenhouse is up there in 14th. Austin Dillon in 12th. Austin Dillon made the playoffs last year. Matt DiBenedetto made the playoffs last year. He's sitting there in 18th. I think we all kind of had some higher hopes the second year with the 21 team. He wasn't having to refight for a ride. He knew he was coming back. It's not a new, team change and having to get used to things. It's sophomore year. I was really hoping to see some better things out of that team. Not to say they can't turn it around. Then you got guys like Bagley and I were talking about with Kyle Larson, who, we knew he could drive a car, but how quickly was he going to relearn and adapt to driving that stock car? And the answer is real freaking quick. That's what that is there. It's 9 races in. We got a lot more regular season left in Cup Series than we do in the Truck Series. But hey, why not talk about it? It was fun. Okay. All right. That is going to do it for the Cup Talk. Let's get to a little lap traffic social media. Oh, Lap Traffic Nation, make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, Facebook, The Lap Traffic Podcast, YouTube, The Lap Traffic Podcast, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter, all at Lap Traffic PC. Subscribe, download, leave a review. Go tell your friends. Listen to the show wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. The giveaway, less than 125 followers away from giving away the Clint Boyer diecast and some Lap Traffic swag, inching closer and closer. And speaking of new followers, Gary at Gary7247, NASCAR fan from Pennsylvania, AD3 fan at Waddle3 Cody, Austin Dillon fan and Peak Squad member, hell yeah, Talladega Nathan at Nathan RXCING9, Chase Elliott and Gordon fan, and Mika at Mikaboo3178, a Newman and NASCAR fan from Utah. Welcome to the show, guys. Go tell your friends to give a follow as well. You guys want stickers, koozies? I'll send those for free. All you got to do is visit the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, fill out the contact page, and I will send them out to you for free. All right, let's keep things rolling. Let's get Mr. Brian Neudorff on the line. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, joining me on the line, you can follow him on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN. It's Mr. Brian Neudorff. Sir, good evening from a snowy Metro Detroit. How are you?
Oh, the weather outside is frightening.
Yes. Oh, man, when they said it was going to snow up here, I'm just like, no, I can't. And of course, it was going to line up with the week that you were on. And if Lap Traffic Nation, if you recall, a couple weeks ago, it snowed on opening day. And I said, of course, it was going to snow. I knew it would because I jinxed myself back in March after a couple 75
I wish we could go back
days.
But I will find the tweet and I will share it. No. On opening day, you didn't go, oh, I jinxed myself. I think if I recall, you blamed a certain meteorologist for the crap that happened. Let's just be honest here. I'm still resentful of that. Yes, you added me. No, you blamed me. You blamed me. And I'm the guy who warned you. I said, not so fast. I went all Corso on you, okay?
You did.
I was like, not so fast. Don't put – okay, it's not snowing to the point that you need the snowblower.
Right. No. But there is a dusting on the lawn.
You were so cocky.
I was.
You were like, oh, it's not going to snow anymore. It's done. I know everything. Mother Nature was like, hold my beer, okay?
That is accurate. Yes. Normally I tell you what, in all seriousness, the reason why I was a little overly cocky in that was because like the last couple Marches have been very cold. And the fact that we had a much milder March, I was very confident in my response. Yeah, no, obviously the snowblower is not coming out.
That's like saying, oh, hey, the Daytona 500 was dry. The rest of the season is not going to rain.
Bad analogy. Yes. A horrible call on my part. But so it's snowing. We're getting a new deck, and they got it all tore out yesterday in the nice sunshine and 50, 60 degree weather, and now it's snowing, and it's got a little covering out there on the lawn.
I mean, we're actually, believe it or not, we're expecting some snow tonight down here. So with our temperatures, the soil temperatures are in the 50s. So if it lasts, it's not going to last very long. It's just the shock to the system. And thankfully it happens at night. So most people are asleep. So I won't be seeing social media posts like, oh, it never snows in
the Midwest, snow in April. I've never seen that before.
Never, ever, ever, ever. It's like saying it's never rained at a NASCAR race.
Right. Man, well, how you been? You watching baseball? What you been up to?
Working. And I celebrated, we've talked about how wonderful our wives are, the NASCAR widows that they are.
Yes.
I celebrated 19 years of marriage last week.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Yes, and I did have to make sure I put in a huge plug that she allows me to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. I do the same thing. Yes.
I mean, without our wonderful wives, their patience and tolerance, we would not be doing what we're doing. I mean, I'll be honest, I was horrible at posting. I felt like I earned it last week because weather was pretty nice. So if you see me tweeting, it's a bad thing. Okay.
Right. Yeah. You want Neudorff to be as quiet as possible.
Exactly. If I don't tweet, it means I have a life and I don't need to be looking at some radar and stuff like that. I mean, okay, can we at least address, I thought it was a golden response. I'm proud of myself. I don't care what anybody said. When they were rushing to go racing at Martinsville, okay, and, Aaron and I both were, and we saw what was coming. And then, of course, they get going, and then they had to stop. And if you were paying attention, yes, I broke into the Marvel, and I said, what, you didn't see that coming? I mean...
I go back and forth, because, man, I don't remember who said it to me, but somebody had said, I thought NASCAR had said they wouldn't start a race if they didn't think they could, get it in or something. And I say, and I'm not, like I said, my response to that was, and I don't even remember if I said it on air or not, was that based on our current situation in terms of, we last year with COVID and the extra break and not having fans at the track for so long and then limited and still limited, it was like, to me, that was just NASCAR doing a good faith thing in terms of, listen, we've got fans here. We've got a window. Let's turn some laps for them if we can, because who knows if they're going to be able to be back tomorrow. So whether or not that was the actual thing, to me, that's where NASCAR could have used that as justification.
Well, here's my question to fans. Okay. And I'm going to use it. It's not a weather related scenario or an analogy, but I want to use something. And I've heard this a lot in the years that I've been doing NASCAR weather. While I appreciate that they wanted it, is that satisfying to a fan who spent all this money to go to a race to see 15 laps? I mean, is that what you pay the money for, to see 15 laps? Or would you have rather have just them said, okay, you know what? It looks like we're not going to – the only window we have is small. We're probably not going to get this, so that you don't have to sit outside in the miserable rain for hours waiting for potentially something only to have it end. Sure. I mean, and here's my take, because I look back, I know so many fans after the Goodyear tire debacle of the Brickyard. One could argue that was the downfall of the Brickyard, was that, 14 lap shootout. Well, we have to get new tires now because it was so horrible. I know my mom went to her first NASCAR race, and said she would never, ever go back again. And I wonder how many fans were like that. They said, this was a horrible experience, and I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to spend money for this. Sure. And I've heard that time and time again in the time that I've been doing NASCAR weather, that people have been like, now, first of all, I will never tell a fan, and I think NASCAR thinks maybe that Aaron and I try to tell fans to go or not to go. We don't do that. Right. Okay. Yeah, no. In fact, we encourage, like, I have people who tell me, oh, I've spent this much money. They try to, use what they've done, maybe sympathy, and be like, hey, I've done this and this and this. What do you think I should do? And first of all, I say, I can't tell you. I can't tell you what to do. If it was me, maybe this is what I would do if it was me. But I always say, listen, you need to get more information. I'm just part of the puzzle. Okay. I mean, I feel like we have a good track record of giving good information, but we've clearly been wrong at times.
Sure.
I mean, and I'm going to be honest, we have called less washouts recently than in the past because we want to see racing. We want to hold on to the hope that there is. I mean, none of us, especially Aaron and I, we don't like to use the term rain out. I mean, sometimes there's slam dunks. Yeah. Okay. This is going to just be washed out. I've seen a few of those where I could go back now and be like, yeah, that's a washout. Like when I even said that the Daytona 500 when they raced Monday, I think on that Sunday, I said, yeah, they're probably not going to race until Monday night. And that's where my somewhat claim to fame happened. But the bottom line is, you know, I mean, it's NASCAR's decision ultimately, but
right.
Any fan who goes and has to sit out, anybody who's had to sit out a rain delay. I mean, I've been fortunate in the rain delays I've had to deal with. I got to be in a dry media center.
Yeah.
But the other ones, you know, are out there in the rain and potentially can be cold. And, you know, if you spent all that money, do you want to do that potentially again? Now, I will tell any fan, if you're ever going to a race, make a Monday plan or make next day plan. If you really want to see the race, have that built into your trip. That,
yeah, absolutely. I would say that I'm with you there in terms of, you know, from that fan perspective. It's like, all right, how come sometimes we'll call it the day before and others will wait until midnight? And that, you know, and I get that, you know, and NASCAR obviously thinks that there's. Go ahead.
Every weather situation is different.
Yep, 100%.
You know, you may have an opening. Track drying is different.
Yep.
Weather conditions to aid in track drying are different.
Sure.
We don't know what information NASCAR is getting. I mean, I can perfectly tell you they're not asking me, and I'm glad. That's fine. You know, but
you're not on payroll to NASCAR or to lap traffic for that matter.
Exactly. This is 100% volunteer. So just so everybody knows, I can stop at any time.
But on the same thing though too, it's, you know, if your very first NASCAR experience is, man, I'm buying into this hype, I want to go check this out, and there's a rain out in effect to where there's nothing going on in the concourse area, all that kind of stuff, and you're sitting there, whether it's in your car, whatever it may be. Yeah, I mean, I could see where that could leave the taste, you know, or if it's, you know.
Well, follow Aaron and I, first of all. You'll at least be ahead of the game. We're not always right, and I'm going to flat out say that, but we have a pretty good accuracy track record that a lot of media people and a lot of different people have made decisions. I mean, I'm not going to say who, but I've had situations. It was an Atlanta race. I think there was a tropical storm heading for there, and there was almost a window, but a storm popped up. But that media person was halfway. They had stationed themselves halfway between the track and their hotel because of what we were saying, and they decided not to go. And I've had that happen a lot from people saying, listen, I listened to what you said, and we saved ourselves. And a lot of times, like I said, the key thing, and on my first race, now luckily I had the day off, or I took the half day and stuff like that. But my first NASCAR race wasn't until the 2000s, and it was Watkins Glen. And ironically enough, my first race was a washout. I had to go back Monday to watch it. So, you know, the irony has not escaped on me. But still, it was my wife's first, but she didn't get to go back, but I got to go back. And, you know, you just got to, and then, so I think after that, every time I've gone, especially Michigan, I've had situations, I always, in the 500 itself, Indianapolis, I build in an extra day off. So that way, if it is rescheduled, I can still go.
Sure. Yep. No,
you know,
I feel
if you're making that plan and you're spending all that money, it never hurts. Now you may not want, and you can cancel that hotel reservation without having to pay 24 hours in advance.
Right. Yeah. You know, you'll know Sunday whether or not you got a much better idea Sunday than you do on Tuesday whether or not we're going racing. So
so I mean that's just that's the weatherman tip for NASCAR racing. Plan for the extra day just in case. If you don't need it, then you don't need it. You save some money, but it's better to have it than not to have it. And I bet a lot of the media people, I haven't talked to them directly, but I bet a lot of media people sometimes have that built in.
I would agree with that 100%. Well, listen, sir, before we get to the weather for this weekend at Talladega, I recap it with Aaron. I haven't recapped it with you in a minute here. The lap traffic weather fantasy head-to-head battle. And
I'm in like 17th, and there's only two of us. So, right. I mean, that's just impressive.
You've got 6 wins to Aaron's 3 wins from a head-to-head perspective. And the funny thing is, Aaron was ahead of you, but you had a stellar week this week and have jumped him in the standings and are sitting in 46. So solid effort.
50. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
it just shows we can forecast the weather. We just can't pick. I mean, okay, here's the nice thing though. Here's the difference between forecasting weather and doing your fantasy. I don't have. It's like I don't get 1 week and I can forecast rain, and then after that I can't forecast rain anymore.
That is true. That is true. Oh, that's funny. Oh, well, man.
Could you imagine, like, oh, well, you've already used your rain forecast. I'm sorry now. You can't use it anymore.
Use that again. You can't use that mulligan. What are we looking at this weekend as we head to Talladega?
Saturday. We may be having doubleheaders on Sunday. But at least it's not that. But yeah, it's wet. It's wet. A system that's going to come through Alabama, through the Mississippi, up to the Tennessee and Ohio River valleys. So it looks wet with some possible showers and thunderstorms on Saturday. That seems to be, I think, the worst of all the days. So if I'm looking at rain, right there, Saturday. But beyond that, it should be fine. I think Sunday looks dry. But generally speaking, I looked, but I don't want to give details on temperatures and everything else. I'm just saying Saturday, there's your day for rain if you're looking for one.
All
Not
right.
that anybody's looking for one, but
No.
Saturday. So I honestly don't know this complete schedule. I know we have the Sprint, the Sprint Cup. Listen to me.
Wow.
The Sprint Winston
Old
Monster
school.
Energy.
Yeah, there
whatever.
you go.
No, old school would have been called a Winston.
Winston,
Okay, that would have
yep.
been Old Scar.
Yeah. Winston in the
Or
in the bush.
Nextel or whatever it has been. The Singular. I don't even know.
Yes.
Singular was never a sponsor. I don't know. Verizon did the IndyCar. I mean, I can't keep up with all the sponsors. The Cups race on Sunday. Do we have Xfinity on Saturday? Is that the race?
Xfinity on Saturday, yes, sir.
So yeah, Saturday. If you're going for the Xfinity and you're a big fan of Xfinity and that's the one you want to go to, it may run on Sunday. That's a big track. There's a lot of rain coming that way, showers and thunderstorms. As of this, that's your too early forecast for Saturday. Hopefully it will change, but it is definitely. We should always preference by. You need a jingle that says your way too early forecast.
Ooh, I could do something like that.
Yeah. Okay. That's $5. So you're not going to pay me to be on for content there. I'll make my money elsewhere.
There you go. I like it.
I don't even have a koozie. Well, maybe I do. I was going to say, do I even have a koozie?
I'm pretty confident that you have a koozie.
I probably do have a koozie. I do have a trophy.
Yes. If you have a
I'm
trophy,
going to start
you have
lobbying.
a koozie.
I'm going to start lobbying now.
That's a
to
good
win
idea.
this thing.
That's a good idea.
And we need to make the weather segment. We need to make the weather segment the best segment.
This year is it's the rubber match. You guys each have a win, so it's you guys. You guys need to campaign.
I haven't conceded yet. I haven't accepted. We're still waiting on Georgia's. Okay, the Dominion machine. Seriously, I don't trust it.
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
It.
Okay. I'm sorry. It was a joke.
No,
Please,
that was
people,
good.
don't at me. Okay, it's just a joke. Aaron won. I'm so proud of him. I could care less. Okay, don't come at me.
Well, you should care. I mean, don't say you don't care less. I mean, then that just diminishes the value of the show.
I care that he won. I mean,
Yes.
I'm saying I'm not heartbroken. Okay, I'm not sitting. I didn't spend days crying.
Fair enough.
I spent an hour, but not days.
Oh man, we have gone off the deep end in this segment tonight.
Well, you had me on.
That'll happen. Yes.
It's like squirrel.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, let's put a wrap in this one for this evening. Sir, great to catch up with you. Everybody make sure you follow Neudorff on Twitter at NASCAR _
And also,
WXMAN.
give him crap about, I'm thinking we just should start sending you snow cones. Actually, I would love to get you have like a snow cone sponsor.
That'd
you need
be
some kind of
awesome.
snow product as a sponsor.
That would be cool.
Actually, no, because you could probably not because of your actual hate of snow. I wouldn't want you to sponsor my snow product either.
All right. Well, There's Mr. Neudorff. Go follow him on Twitter at NASCAR_WXMAN and Aaron Studwell at Race Weather.
Let's get both of you guys some more followers.
Yes, I need 125, and I get to finally give away this diecast and some Lap Traffic swag. So yes.
I will. You need 129, right?
25.
I did 125. I know you need 129. That puts you in the 4 and a plus. So for the next time, so I'm gonna say 130. Let's get you 130. It's more of a round number.
I like that. Yes.
Let's get you those followers. I will do my best this time to help out. Apparently, I learned from Aaron when he was asking for followers that if I unfollow him and follow him back, it doesn't count.
Unfortunately not. Yep.
I mean, I have unfollowed you. Maybe I should follow you back. I don't know.
All right, man. Well, it was good to catch up with you. We'll catch you back here in a couple weeks.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, man. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Wow, Lap Traffic Nation. Definitely one of the little longer and more loose weather segments there. Always great to catch up with Mr. Brian Neudorff. But right now, it is time for this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. You guys know the drill. After the race, you can tweet your Lucky Dog and Lap Down picks. I'll read them, tag you guys after the show, or you can call the Wave Around hotline, 248-965-9538, and leave your picks there, and I'll play them on the show as well. So my lucky dog of the race weekend is Alex Bowman, and my Lap Traffic fantasy picks, you'll find out why. My lap down, Kevin Harvick, on his way to a solid top 5, and to have that tire go down, that's his lucky dog. That's his lap down as you can get. Let's get to your tweeted responses. Scott at 1985 Wagner's lucky dog can't be anyone but Alex Bowman. First out of nowhere win this year. Lap down, Denny Hamlin lost what he had all but last 11 laps. Jeff at JBev1789's lucky dog, my man Alex Bowman and Greg Ives don't think people realize how fast they've been this year and finally had everything fall into place for the checkered flag. Lap down, Martin Truex Jr., that was a rough way to lose the shot to win. Brian at Stormin B81, a lucky dog, Alex Bowman being there at the end. A lap down, Chase Elliott with a crap car all day. Jess at Iowa NASCAR fans, a lucky dog. Bowman is the obvious choice, but I'll go with Hamlin. No wins, but very rock solid. Reminds me of Kenseth 2003. A lap down, betters who are in love with Truex. I like that one. Rowdy at the Rowdy Dragon, lucky dog. Alex Bowman in the 48 car, nicely executed. Lap down, Kevin Harvick finally puts together a good run. It didn't end well. Jeremy at Living Room War Wagon, lucky dog, the Bowmanator. Did I just make up a nickname? I think you did, Jeremy. Lap down, me. I went for a walk with the fam with 39 laps to go, and third was 13 seconds back. Let's see here. Eddie at Eddie_EG3's lucky dog. Bowman, right place, right time. Run strong came from the pit road penalty to win. Lap down, Hamlin. Yet another race failed to close the deal 2 weeks in a row at his home track. And we are thinking about all those FedEx employees. Absolutely, Eddie. Kristen at KHoglin79, lap down to Denny Hamlin for losing, which makes me happy. A lucky dog to my two favorites, Bell and Truex, both for having a top 5 day. Mick at GoDucks42_Mix, a lucky dog. Bowman had it when it counted, lap down the entire 5-team out to lunch all day. Yes, they were. And Mark at MLuds20, let's see, lucky dog is no other than my dad, Matt. Both of his Lap Traffic fantasy picks won. It's a solid day. Lap down is Denny Hamlin and FedEx. Real tough week for them, but having to stay #FedEx strong. All right, those are your picks. Let's get to your calls on the Wave Around hotline.
Hi, Brandon. It's Matt at Camper News Net. Wow, the Cup race, especially, that caution towards the end with Kevin Harvick in the wall, and it just really, I thought, changed the race complexity. I really thought that if that caution never came out, Denny Hamlin would have run away with that victory and absolutely dominated this race. And, Kevin Harvick continuing his struggles to begin the season. It's just he never gets any luck, it seems. And, after what happened at Martinsville last year to end the season, it's just been a struggle for him, I feel, since even to start the beginning of the year. So, absolutely unfortunate for Kevin Harvick. So, anyway, my lucky dog for this week is going to go to Alex Bowman. After that caution at the end, he absolutely, had an incredible end to the race and got a shocking victory. So now we have a total, I believe it's 8 different winners in 9 races. That's just unheard of. And do I think we're going to see more of that? I honestly don't know at this point. I think there could be a possibility we could see, 12, 13, 14, 15. I mean, I'd be shocked if we see 16 winners this year, but who knows? The racing this year has just been incredible, I believe. And my lap down this week is going to go to Denny Hamlin. Dominant race. Couldn't get it done, unfortunately. 2 straight races. He couldn't get it done in his home tracks. And, especially after the news this week at FedEx. And, thoughts are with the entire FedEx family after what happened this week in Indianapolis. I really was hoping maybe he could bring some spirit to them and win this race at Richmond. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. But, still, thoughts are with everybody at FedEx after what happened this past week. So anyway, with that, enjoy your week as always, Brandon, Laugh Traffic Nation. I'll talk to you next weekend after the wild card race at Talladega. Thank you so much, Brandon. Take care. Bye.
Mick, thank you for calling. Thank you for the enthusiasm. Or Matt, thank you. Appreciate you. I was just looking at the sheet here and saw Mick's name there as I was reading that. No, man, I appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, you hit it on the head there in terms of, the struggles with SHR, Bowman, Denny Hamlin having 2 basically back-to-back slip away from him there. Added to a plate track where, hey, he's very successful at. Will he get the win at Talladega this weekend? Who knows? How many winners are we going to get? Who knows? I just love the fact that it's been so entertaining and so fun to watch as of late. That's for sure. All right, let's get to the next call on the Wave Around Hotline.
What's going on, Live Traffic Nation? Voice of the Wave Around Hotline. I'm Racing Chance calling in after Richmond. And I could have easily saved about 2.5, 3 hours, however long that race was, and just watched the last 10 laps of that race. That's all I needed to see. Always good when one of your favorite drivers wins. Always better when they beat Denny Hamlin. I know Dennis wanted to win for his sponsor. But, Mr. Bowman wanted to win for his sponsor and get them their first Cup win. First win for the 48 since that Dover race I went to see Jimmy Johnson's last win. That's pretty damn cool. And we got another new winner. Next week at Talladega, we're probably going to get another new winner because it's Talladega, and there's probably going to be 7 cars running at the end. Lap down, lucky dog. I'm going to have to give my lap down to old Dennis Hamlin, another one out the window that he didn't win. And I'm also actually going to give, most importantly, this tire a lap down. It had a lot of tire wear, which is always good to see, but there was not nearly enough rubber laid down with that tire to make it go multiple grooves, I should say, which we usually see at Richmond, especially mostly during the day. We'll see that groove go up, sometimes all the way to the wall. Which is why I was adamant on Twitter saying, Richmond in the day is miles better than Richmond at night. But we didn't see that. So, lap down, good year in the tire not laying down rubber. And lucky dog, Hendrick Motorsports. 3 of their 4 drivers have won already this year. The defending champ, who's going to win soon, eventually, is the only driver not to win. I'm sure you're going to have to get the edit button ready for next week, Brandon.
Yeah, the edit button I'll get the bleeps, the horns, all that ready for next week. It's an inevitability that there will be some carnage had next week, and we all know that the voice of the Wave Around Hotline, Andrew Cancian, loves Talladega and Daytona. Literally, go at him how much you love it. He'll appreciate that. I promise. That is going to do it for this week's Lucky Dog and Lap Down segment. All right, Lap Traffic Nation, it is time to close this thing out with a little Lap Traffic fantasy. Just a reminder to get your picks in by 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday. There are only 4 more weeks to go in segment 1, and we're going to declare our first winner. We'll reset some things. We'll add the cumulative total, all that good stuff. But right now, joining me on the line, he was one of the guys with the week high this week. It's Glenn Atkins. Glenn, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome, man. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. What do you think of the league so far this year?
Pretty good. It's my first year playing. I got off to a really rough start, but the last 2 or 3 weeks have been pretty good to me.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm with you there. I was in the basement, and Lab Traffic Nation. I'm so excited. I'm in 11th place, and of course, I've had like 3 good weeks in a row, and now we head to Talladega, and I hope I don't drop 30 places after this weekend's all said and done. But Glenn, man, you scored the highest points possible this week. John Hunter Nemechek, Denny Hamlin. What were your thoughts going into this week, and what'd you think of the racing?
Well, I was hoping that they would do just what they did. I just wish Hamlin would have hung on and won the race. But, I kind of saved some of my big guns. I didn't want to use Hamlin right at the beginning. I had Truex 2 weeks ago and he won. And so I'm hoping it's kind of paying off for me here at the end of this first segment, still having some of the big guns left.
Absolutely. That's good strategy. I am with you as well in doing that. I've got a couple top dogs left that I'm just waiting to pull out, hopefully to stay on top, not to rebound after this bad week. Let's hit the top 10 here real quick. Still in first place with 856 is Fred Leclerc. In second with 840 is Henry Fletcher. In third with 822, Michael Mason. In fourth with 819 is Jess Rose. In fifth with 791 is John Etwitzel. In sixth with 789 is Michael Elliott. In seventh with 776 is Michael over at the Blind Spot Podcast. Two-way tie for eighth with 771 between the MOATF Podcast and Pete Curvin. In ninth with 766 is Eric Schauder. And wrapping out the top 10 with 764 is David Mullins. Glad, man, you're in 23rd, 730. Still, anybody's ball game to crack the top 10 at least, I would say. So absolutely keep this trend going, man, and hopefully this won't be your last time on the show.
No, hope we can make it a regular occurrence.
Absolutely, yes. What do you say, man? You want to make some picks for this week?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll go ahead and make them.
All right. Lap Traffic Nation, we are headed to Talladega for our second plate race of the year. This might be one of Toyota's worst tracks. Denny Hamlin picked up the win here last fall, and their last win prior to that was Denny Hamlin back in 2014, and before that was Stewart back in 2008. In the last 25 races at Talladega, Toyota only has 3 wins. Who's got the most wins of those 25 races? That would be Ford with 13, specifically Team Penske with 9 of them. Will the Blue Oval be back in victory lane this weekend? Will Brad Kay close out the wins for Team Penske? Could Michael McDowell be back in victory lane? Who's going to survive the big one? How much sheet metal will we get? We'll find out this weekend. But first, it's time for our picks. Glenn, start with you. Who's your pick for the Xfinity Series?
Xfinity, I think I'm going to go with Jeff Burton. Them college racing guys usually run together and stay up front, so I'll go with Jeff Burton.
There, sir. I like that. I'm going to go with our Daytona winner, who's been pretty quiet since Daytona, and I'm going to go with the veteran of the series and Austin Cindric to hopefully keep it clean this weekend. And over to the Cup Series, sir. Who are you rolling with?
I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. He's won there a couple of times, and he's one of the few I still have left that made the chase last year. So.
Oh, that's a good pick. I am so torn between Michael McDowell and Matt DiBenedetto, and that's just because I got a couple that I'm not willing to waste on Talladega. Man, since I went with Cindric, I guess I'll go with Michael McDowell. Oh, I hope this doesn't bite me in the butt, man. All right, man. Well, listen, hey, thanks for calling in tonight. Enjoy the rest of the league, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
All right, hope so. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Take care, man.
You too.
All right, Lap Traffic Nation, that is going to do it for episode 236 of the Lap Traffic Podcast. Make sure you check out the website, thelaptrafficpodcast.com. Follow on Twitter at LapTrafficPC. Go check out manscaped.com. Use code LAPPED, L-A-P-P-E-D, at checkout. Get 20% off and free shipping. Don't forget, only about 125 followers to go for that giveaway. Huge thanks to Mike Bagley, Brian Neudorff, and Glenn Atkins. I had to think about that for calling into the show tonight. I am still working on a guest for next week. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Make sure you tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!